do not date when you're young. But also, what does young mean? Because I don't think it's a number, and I don't think it's just an age. I think it's how well you know yourself, how well you know the other person. And I think it's a bunch of questions that I wish I had asked myself when I was younger. Hi everyone! Welcome back to my series called Just Between Us, where I get unready from the day while I share with you stories from my real life and what they have taught me. This is episode 2, and today we're going to talk about dating and why I really regret dating when I was younger, aka when I was in high school. So this video actually came to mind after my bald video. Like, it just came naturally to me because if you watched it, I was bald for around 2 years, like bald and then growing my hair out. And then during that time, I had no time for guys. Guys didn't look at me. I didn't look at guys. And then afterwards, when I got hair and I felt prettier, I started dating. By the way, I realized really late that actually I was bald when I was 14, not 16, because my first boyfriend was when I was 16. So sorry for the age difference. I only realized after I checked my Facebook photos from that time. And so it just seemed like the most natural progression because it's just the next stage in my life that I really vividly remember and like I want to talk about. I don't know if you consider 16 young to be dating, but to be honest, I think in my school, it was international school, it was kind of late. Like, a lot of other girls had dated when they were younger, but also I had some friends who had never dated by then. So I'm not sure really if it's too fast or too slow. And it's probably different depending on where you live and what school you go to. And actually, I filmed this video before, like 2 weeks ago. But throughout that video, I started like crying really hard. Like, I was sobbing. And then when I was editing it, I just realized like I can't post this. Like, it's way too vulnerable. And though it's real and I want to share some of that stuff that I discovered to you guys, I think it was too raw. So here we are again, filming it. And I'm sure this second time will be just as good, if not better, because I've actually structured this video to be in terms of like questions, the questions I wish I had asked myself first. When I first filmed it, it was like kind of just a babbling and I was just sharing and it got really emotional for me. But I literally sobbed for like 15 minutes and then I called my parents. The first question I wish I had asked myself is, why do I even want a relationship right now? I think for me, there were many reasons and none of those reasons were good. The first reason was because I saw other girls dating when they were like younger and they were like the cool girls, like the girls that are enviable. And I think in middle school, I don't know, it's so weird, but there's definitely a hierarchy of people. Middle school is actually just like a war zone, to be honest. But there were the cool girls, and the cool girls all had boyfriends. So it's like, oh, I want to have a boyfriend too. And so I guess to an extent, it was like some social pressure, invisible social pressure. Like, no one ever told me, like, you have to date, of course. But in my head, I correlated that with being cool. And so I was like, oh, I want to be cool. I should date. Another reason is like, I don't know why, but I think as middle schoolers, or just maybe it's just me, but I think I was so boy crazy. Like, I feel like I don't really remember what I learned in class, but I remember who I had a crush on for how long and at what time. Because not only is it like stuck in my head, like a big part of my head, but it's also the main thing us girls would talk about, like gossip about, share stories about, like, oh my gosh, my crush is this, my crush is that. So I don't know why, but we were so boy crazy. That's the second main reason why I wanted to get into a relationship. And still, it's not a great reason. Both of these two reasons stem from me wanting to seem more valuable, more desired, and wanting to be like someone who I was not. And in hindsight, of course, hindsight is 2020, but I know those are all terrible reasons to want to date someone. And if you find that right now that you want to date because of those reasons, or reasons that are not because you love the person or you already know who you are, then this is just an eye-opener, hopefully. The second question I wish I had asked myself is, do I really like him? Or is it just the idea of having someone or the idea of being in a relationship? Like, would I still want to be their friend? Would I still want to be around them if we weren't dating? Because actually, for one of my relationships, I realized that like, if we weren't friends, I would actually not want to hang out with him at all. Like, he's not really a good person and he doesn't have values that I respect in a friend. So why did I think I would respect it or want it in a relationship? I truly believe that friendship is the best foundation for any relationship because it's something you can always fall back on. It's like a solid ground. Like when you guys are in the midst of a big argument or something really, I don't know, stressful, life-changing. If you have that background of friendship to fall back on, I think it makes such a big difference. And it makes a huge difference in how you communicate with each other and the respect you have for each other. If you don't want to be friends with your partner, regardless of whether or not they're your partner, then that's probably a bad sign that you don't actually want them or like them that much. And on that same note, it's good to know what you want in a partner. Like, Do you want someone who is kind, someone who is funny, who is generous? And if you want all of them, which one is like the highest priority? Because I didn't have a strong idea of what I actually wanted, so kind of anyone was okay. The third question, which is probably the most important question and the one I really wish I had asked myself, is do I know who I am outside of a relationship? Like, do I know who I am right now? Do I know my own values, my own standards, the good qualities I have, the bad qualities I have? Do I actually know myself? Because I think it's so much harder to figure out who you are when you're attached to someone else. And especially if you see yourself as a part and they're another part and then you make a whole. My first relationship was like that. Like, I really felt like this other person completed me, and that made me become so codependent on him, and like we would do everything together. We were like attached at the hip, and it was kind of not healthy. It was definitely a bit toxic. And that's because I had this mindset that I'm not whole by myself. But you are whole by yourself, and you should be, and you should know what makes you whole. I wish I had known what brings me joy, what makes me feel confident, what makes me feel angry or upset. I wish I had taken a lot more time to study myself before I invested all this other time into someone else, because they are not here anymore. My exes, they're not here. They're not in my life. I don't talk to them at all. I think one of them blocked me, or I blocked him. I don't know. But they're like not in my life anymore. But you know who is? Me. I'm still in my life. And so I wish I had taken all that time to focus on me instead of someone else. One of the reasons why I feel like I didn't grow as much as I should have in my younger years, because I kept relying on someone else. I kept on looking to someone else for answers and, making decisions as a team when I'm supposed to be focusing on making decisions for myself. And I definitely think that if you know yourself and you know your standards, you know your values, and you know that you're a whole already, your relationship in general will be much smoother because you're not going to be as codependent, if at all. You're going to be more secure, you're going to be more confident, and you're going to have a sense of self-respect that's really essential in relationships. I don't think I had that much self-respect for myself actually when I was younger, and that sucks. Like, it shows in the things I chose to do and in the way I acted, and I regret that a lot. And I think a sign that you're not ready to be in a relationship and you don't know yourself well enough, or you don't treasure yourself well enough, is if you're not happy being single. Because if you're not happy being single and you expect that being in a relationship will fix that, I think that's incredibly untrue. And also it will set you up for failure because, again, that relationship will be what you depend on for joy. But that shouldn't be how a relationship is. My acne has gotten so much worse since I started a 9 to 5. And sometimes I feel like that's a sign. But we're gonna try to fix it and just get over it. There's a video I want to make, which is about getting the corporate uglies. I don't know if you've heard of that term, but it's like corporate air makes you ugly. And I didn't really believe it, but it's like happening to me. And I feel like I have to talk about it because I've done some things that have helped and other things that have not helped. And I think I figured out some reasons why it's happening. Not just because you're more stressed and you're in a work environment, but yeah, maybe I'll save it for another video. But that's the video I'm excited to make. Yeah, I'm gonna shower, wash my face, and I'll be right back. I'm back. Yay. We will now tone because my face is freaking dry. So the next question I wish I had asked myself and known the answer to is, can I take care of myself emotionally? To be honest, I hurt my exes just as much as I hurt myself dating young. Because when I was younger, I wasn't good at regulating my emotions. I wasn't even good at recognizing my emotions. And I'm the type of person who was really quick to anger. I had very low anger management skills. And it definitely hurt my first boyfriend a lot. Like, I would get irrationally angry and I wouldn't know how to handle it, so I just took it out on him. And to be honest, I took my anger on a lot of people when I was younger, including my parents and some friends, and that was very unfair to them. I think because I was in a relationship, the process of me learning how to self-soothe and self-regulate my emotion became delayed because almost without realizing, I expected this other person to fix things for me. Like, they would be able to fix who I am because, of course, at that time, I saw them as the other half of my whole, not as just me being a whole and being able to do things for myself. So that over-reliance hurt them as much as it hurt me. So knowing whether or not you're emotionally ready is also really important. Another important question that I think about a lot now and that makes me a bit sad is, what am I giving up to be in this relationship? Whenever you have something new, you have to sacrifice something that you already have, right? For me, it was time that I spent with my family. Because I hung out with my boyfriend so much and their families too, I hung out with my own family less. And that really sucks because we only get a limited amount of years with our parents before, like, we move to university and then we live apart. Like, the thing I miss the most right now would definitely be living with my parents and talking to my parents in real life and like hanging out with them because they're actually really cool. They try their best to learn and how to be better parents too, and I really appreciate that. And I regret not seeing their effort sooner and, being so neglectful because really spent so much time with my boyfriend, my exes, that I neglected to spend time with my parents. And that's what hurts me the most. That's what I cried about the first time I was filming this because I was so sad and thinking about how, like, all the time I wasted on this other person who's not even in my life versus spending it on people who actually love me and care about me since I was young. And besides that, not just spending less time with your family, but you also spend less time with your friends. And this is very wrong of me, but I definitely put my boyfriend higher than my friends that time because I felt like he knew me in a way no one else did. And maybe he did, but it was also not really in a healthy way because I think we were like trauma bonded. And you just have to think about what you're giving up to spend with your new partner and if it's worth it or not, because I don't think it was worth it. I also remember, like, especially with my first boyfriend, thinking like, oh my God, my grades are slipping. I'm not doing as well academically as I wanted to. And part of it is because I let him influence me, right? Like, he's not the very academic type, and I let him influence me and made me believe that school wasn't as important as I thought it was, even though it's something I worked so hard for. Like, I worked hard for my grades. I worked hard to study, but I felt it slipping away from me. And I noticed that. I noticed it happening, but I didn't feel a need to stop it because this other person had influenced me. And because I wasn't strong in my own values and what I believed in, I just let myself be swayed. Actually, when you date, you give up a lot, right? You give up your autonomy, your independence, your time, your care, your attention, your thought. And you have to really think about whether or not it's worth it. I don't think it's necessarily bad that I dated so young, but I wish I had ended it a lot sooner before I lost sight of who I was and lost sight of what was important to me. And in general, I wish I had listened to my parents more because they knew earlier than me whether or not this relationship would work, and they gave their inputs very softly because they didn't want to make me feel offended or triggered. But if your parents are genuinely good and then like they love you and they want what's best for you, which I hope they do, then you should listen to them. Or your friends who also feel the same way, who like want the best for you and who know you better than this other person does. I hope you listen to them and take their advice with more than a grain of salt because they probably see things that you don't. It's normal to make mistakes. It's normal to date people who are actually not right for you. And that's okay. What's not okay is you realizing it and still staying. If you realize it, then you should do your best to get out, even though it's uncomfortable and it's hard and you feel like a sucky person. Because I definitely felt like a sucky person, but that's just the price we have to pay for learning our lessons. I think a question that would have helped me when I was evaluating whether or not I still wanted to stay in this relationship is, am I willing to accept all of this person, like all of their flaws, all of their imperfections? Am I willing to accept them? And am I seeing them for who I am and not just their potential? Because falling in love with potential is so real. I've definitely done that for probably all my relationships because you can imagine like, oh, they can do this, they can be like this. Maybe in the future they'll do this, they'll do that. Maybe they'll treat me this way in the future. But that doesn't matter. Like, how do they treat you now? How do they treat themselves right now? That's what matters, and that's what you actually have to observe, not imagine what they're doing in the future. I think you really have to ask yourself if you're willing to accept that for the rest of your life. Because your partner has the biggest impact on you, more than your parents, more than your friends. That's the person you spend the most time with. So if you're not willing to put up with it now, then you probably won't be willing to put up with it later. Other things I wish I had known is that, like, once you break up, just break up. Like, it's very, very rare that after you break up, when you get back together, it'll be better. I broke up with my ex and then we got back together and it was good for maybe like 1 to 3 months, but it's not worth it. And it will definitely lead you to more heartbreak in the future. So that's something I wish I had known. Like, people don't change that much. And even if people do want to change, it's not good if they want to change for you, unless they want to change for themselves, which is what is ideal. Like, if they want to change for themselves and as a result, they become a better partner. But I don't think you should wait on that or rely on that. There's just so many things I wish I could have told myself when I was younger, but I also am trying to be gentle with myself and realize that if I hadn't gone through those experiences, I wouldn't be where I am now. And there are still many things I'm grateful for from my exes. Like, I really wish them well, but I wish instead of prioritizing them and thinking so much about them, I had thought more about myself and the people that were closest to me and the people that really mattered to me. It's a tough lesson and it honestly sucks. Like the first time I was talking to the camera about this and I realized, and like when it hit me, I really just sobbed for like 15-30 minutes. It made me really sad actually. And like trying to edit it, I teared up many times. And that's when I realized like, oh, I have to refilm it because that's way too emotional. You're definitely not missing out by not dating young. I think it's actually better to wait until you're ready and until you know yourself more. And like, I have this friend who got married recently. And from what I heard, I'm not that close to her to be honest. We met like once or twice and we were Instagram friends. And she's so sweet. Her energy is so bright and so radiant. But I remember the first time that we met in real life, she was telling me about how she found the guy of her dreams. And like, it was really the guy of her dreams. Like all the standards that she had realized and set for herself, he met them. And I didn't think that was possible, to be honest. I always thought like if you had high standards, that's just you being impossible. But having high standards just shows how much you value yourself. And you should have those high standards. I really admire and respect her, right, for sticking to her standards and not settling for anything less than her standards. I truly believe that waiting for the right person is the best and the biggest gift you can give to yourself. Like having that patience and having that high self-esteem, like high sincerity towards yourself, and having that come from a place of love, not from a place of like, I don't deserve this, but more so that I deserve to wait for someone who really makes me feel special and who really loves me. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's true for most things in life. Like, you might think that you're behind or that everyone is already paces ahead of you and you're not where you need to be, but you're exactly where you need to be. Your timing is right, your pace is right. You don't have to compare your timeline with anyone else's because it will never be the same. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like, life, it doesn't look the same for anyone, and that's what makes it so special. So never compare your timing and your pacing, especially when it comes to love, with someone else's. Things will come to you when they're meant for you. And maybe the reason why what you think you want is not what you have right now is because you're making time and preparing for even better things. You don't need a relationship to prove anything, like to prove that you're wanted, to prove that you're special. You don't need a relationship to prove that for you, and a relationship honestly can't do it for you. Only you can do it for yourself. If you do want to find someone, like that's what your goal in life is right now, and that's what you think you're ready for, you should just focus on being the best version of yourself. Like, people will come to you when they see you as the best version of yourself. They will love you, they will respect you because of that. And if you are in a relationship right now, I hope it's based on you being whole already. Like you're already being complete and knowing yourself and knowing what you're worth, your standards, your values. And I hope that your partner only enriches your life. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. Besides the one I mentioned earlier about corporate uglies, which I'm still dealing with, to be honest, another topic that I want to talk about was losing someone who I thought was my best friend and how much that hurt me and changed me. I don't know if you've ever lost a friend before, but I think it's even worse than a breakup. Like, it's so painful. And I think I just have so much guilt and shame about it, around it. And so maybe it's something we can work through together, just between us. Subscribe and I'll see you next time.